Hey guys, Reggie Whitley, the Visionary Brand Coach here, and very moderately excited to be on here talking live. Thank you guys so much for watching the replay. And if you know me, you know that I love to talk about business. I love to talk about all things business as long as it is legal. And if it's illegal, I'm talking about it just to keep you out of prison. But lately, I've been focusing more so on nonprofit organizations because so many people don't know about nonprofits as it pertains to the operations, whether or not they can have one, whether or not they should get one. There's been a lot of misconceptions and a lot of myths concerning nonprofits. So I was like, let me just hop on this live and tell these people some of the myths and then debunk them, because why not? I've been trying to do this video for several days, since like Saturday, and I just never could get around to it. I wanted to wait till y'all get off of work, but when y'all get off of work, I'll be busy. So I guess you're just going to have to watch this after it is finished. So I'm going to talk about 10 myths of nonprofit organizations because, again, a lot of people don't understand the ins and outs of them. And a lot of the times I talk to people just quite naturally. When I talk to people and get to know them, I often think to myself, and sometimes if I'm in a good mood, I'll even ask them, hey, why don't you start a business doing this? If this is your passion, if this is what you love, if you really enjoy this and do it so easily, why not make it into a business? That's kind of how I started this whole Visionary Brand Coach thing. I also hear people talking, I ask them, why don't you make this into a nonprofit organization? And a lot of the times they give me a dumb excuse, and it's only dumb because they just don't know. A lot of people are just ignorant to things, and ignorance is not an insult. I know your mama probably called you ignorant. You know how, I ain't gonna say mine did, but you know how some people mamas be calling them ignorant when they was growing up like it's an insult. And I don't want to bring up no trauma, and I don't want to start no drama. But ignorance is not, it's not a bad word. It just means that you didn't know. A lot of people just don't know and understand about non-profits. So here are 10 myths. Number one, it is non-profits don't make any money. I'm here to cut up. At this point, I think we can agree. Even if I pep talk myself, even if I sit myself down and I say, Reggie, you're going to get on there and you're going to act right. You were raised better than this. You're going to do well. You're not going to show up for the people. I just be lying to myself. And then I have to repent because I'm not a liar. Because I get on every time and I say something I don't have no business. And I need help in that area, but I don't want it. So, number one, nonprofits don't make money. They don't need to make money. Now, let's just be honest. Everybody needs to make money, right? Even the Bible says that money answers all things. So people think that with a nonprofit, you don't need to make money, but the truth is you need money because nonprofits still have the same expense. Listen, just because you're a nonprofit don't mean that the building is going to be cheaper to buy. Just because you're a nonprofit organization don't mean that the bills are going to be cheaper. It doesn't mean that the supplies will necessarily be cheaper. There are times where, as a nonprofit, they can utilize, the tax deduction. They can order stuff, they can buy stuff, they don't have to pay taxes on it. But even that is a process because that's still not free to do. Did you know you have to pay? Like, in order to buy something out of the store and for it to not have to be taxed, typically you have to pay your state. In Mississippi, it's $50. So you need money to even get stuff at a discounted rate. So, yes, nonprofits need money, and you can make money with a nonprofit. How do you make money? Myth number two. As you can see, we're not going to be here long. I got things to do. Myth number two is nonprofits cannot charge for their services. People think you have to have a nonprofit and give everything out for the free. That is not true. I always liken it to, because most of us know church at least a little bit. So I always say, when you think about it, look at like TBN and the Word Network. They've been pimping people for a long time. I'm not here to do that, though. So when you watch them, a lot of the times they'll say, in order to get this prayer shawl, give us a donation of $99. In order to get this whatever, well, I need to buy them out here doing them altars. In order to get this altar, I love the camera. In order to get this altar, you have to give a seed of like $1,033. Insanity. But as you can see, they just found a better way of saying buy this product. So you don't have to give out your services and your products for free. Another thing Think about all the conferences that you go to. Now, Woman Evolve by Sarah Jakes Roberts was just, I think, last week. Nobody got a Woman Evolve free. Everybody had to pay to get in, but Woman Evolve is a non-profit organization. It is a 501c3, right? So that is something that you received. It was a service that you received. You had to pay to get in. So that just debunks the myth that you don't have to do everything for free. Your products, your services don't have to be free. You can actually charge and make a profit. Now, I know some of you may say, why is it called a nonprofit? I don't have the answer to that. Because you do make a profit. Nonprofits can rack up that money, so that's a myth that people have, that you have to do everything for free. It's just not true. Number 3, nonprofits are only for charitable causes. People think that you can only do stuff as far as providing charity to people who are needy to be considered a nonprofit. Again, not true. Look back at churches. Churches are nonprofit organizations, every single last one of them. You don't have to be a 501c3 to be a nonprofit organization as a church. There is another filing that you can do that I'll get more into later. I'll tell you about it at the end. But all churches are nonprofit organizations. They are not necessarily for charitable causes. And so when you think of all of these, even like the Boys and Girls Club, that's not necessarily a charitable cause for the needy. They may serve a lot of the needy. They may have a large population of those who come to them who are needy, but they are not necessarily here to be a charitable giving, charitably giving to the needy. So you don't have to be given to the needy in order to be a nonprofit organization. You can be a committee, literally a committee that just wants to talk to people, that just wants to gather around and talk about books. A book club can be a nonprofit organization. You can have social change, political change, policy review, schools, things of that nature. All of these are not given to the needy. So we want to debunk that myth, right? There's a lot of different ways that you can do it. I'll even throw in there, just for fun, I don't even know what this has to do with this one, but just for fun, I'll even throw in that nonprofit organizations can own for-profit organizations. A nonprofit organization can own an LLC. That has nothing to do with giving to the needy. So these are things that I want us to start thinking about and to consider, because there is a chance you may have a nonprofit organization in you. You just don't know that you can do it that way. So that's why I'm here. Number 4, nonprofits are always small and local. Never true. Now, some are small and local, but it's never true, because the saying is that they are always small and local. Think of the Red Cross. Think of the Salvation Army. Think of the WWF, the World Wildlife Fund, I think is what it's called. Think of all of those things. All of these are nonprofit organizations that are huge. A lot of them are multi-million-dollar organizations, but they are definitely not small, and they surely are not just local. Now, yours can be. I don't want you to think about them all being so big that you feel like, man, I have to get one and grow it to that level. Who is your target audience? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? What are you trying to achieve? You could just want to do a little something in your community. You could just want to start a little storefront organization just for 5-6 people. That's fine. That could be a nonprofit. You can also decide that you want to do something more so for everybody across the world, a certain demographic of people across the United States, I was saying, and it become a huge juggernaut of a nonprofit organization. That is fine as well, but they come in all sizes, shapes, colors, backgrounds, all of that. So number 5 myth is nonprofits don't make a profit. Again, I don't know why they're called nonprofit organizations. I don't understand it. I've never researched it. I've never looked it up. I just know the facts are you definitely can make a profit. Look at all of these people who have nonprofit organizations, and I won't start calling names, but they start buying stuff cash. You can't buy something cash if you're not making a profit, right? Because 9 times out of 10, if it costs $700,000, you have way more than that in your account. You're not going to empty it in just one thing. So I want us to consider that you can make a profit. So I don't want you to think, man, if I start this nonprofit organization, it's going to be something that is just struggling, barely making it, not having enough for anything. You have expenses, you have things that come up, you have emergencies that happen, you have all of this that goes on. You need to have a profit in your nonprofit just as much as you do in your for-profit business. You can run your nonprofit similar to a for-profit. This is why A lot of these huge foundations, including things like the Red Cross, including things like the Goodwill and stuff, they are nonprofits, but you see how they sell many things, how they sell stuff, even if it's their own merchandise, they're selling it because they need to make a profit. They have multiple streams of income. This is why they reach out to people and they're like, hey, can you donate to us? I got about 30 letters sitting out right now because I have my own nonprofit that I just printed today that's about to go in the mail. If you're watching this, you just might be getting a letter. Because we need to make a profit. Because we have things that are coming up, projects and incentives, things like that. So that's why nonprofits can make a profit. Now, this is a real big one. Nonprofit leaders don't make money. I don't know who lied to y'all and said nonprofit leaders don't make money. Like I said earlier, I liken nonprofits. Now, nonprofits can be a big number of things, but I always go back to churches because again, we know church. We know churches. We know the ins and outs typically. And there aren't too many pastors out there besides Joel Osteen who say he don't get a salary. He just, make a living off of his books. But let's be honest, his church buys all those books. That's why he stay a best-selling author. I don't know if y'all knew that or not, but there you go. That was for free. But when you think of churches, there aren't too many pastors who are not getting paid for pastoring. Most of them are getting a salary. They are the leader of their nonprofit, especially those who started the church themselves. Let's get out of the mindset of thinking that nonprofit leaders don't make money because they give their time, they give their experience, they give their knowledge, they give their skills, they give their education. Now there's a way where it can be unethical. Let's think about, I would say, since we're talking about churches, I don't know if you guys know Stephen Furtick. Let's say Stephen Furtick. So he always says that he is not a part of his salary. He doesn't decide on it. The thing is, a lot of people in his position, they have a membership on the board. They sit at the head of their board. And what they... Somebody said church, and I'm not for the play. I got to take a pause. That was too much for me to take at one time. I didn't know I was about to look down and see that comment. And we're back. So a lot of pastors in his position, they do have a say. They are on the board and they lead the board, especially when they started the church. So what happens is they don't have a vote on how much they get paid because that's unethical. So a lot of the times, as a leader, you can still get paid, but ethically, you shouldn't be there when they're discussing your payment. Because what is that like? Of course you're going to say, boost my pay. I don't care what it's like. I don't care how bad everything is going, bump it up. That's not ethical, but it is ethical for you to get paid. So I don't want you to think that if you start one, you're just going to be there doing it for volunteerism, doing it for fun. That's just not how that works, guys. So don't let there be something that stops you, because start Googling some leaders of nonprofits. And I'm talking stuff like Google the CEO of Goodwill. Google the leaders of all of these different nonprofits that are big, like the YMCA. I think they're a nonprofit. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm 90% sure they are a nonprofit. But just start Googling all this stuff and you will learn that they do get paid, and a lot of them get paid very well. Then don't just get paid well, they do get paid a market rate salary. So that's number 7. Nonprofits shouldn't pay a market rate salary. A lot of people think, I've heard people say, I don't get paid that much because I work at a nonprofit. Well, working at a nonprofit, we don't get paid like everybody else. Well, that's probably just because y'all need to bump it up in your grants and your donations and stuff like that, because nonprofits should be paying people a fair wage. They should be paying people how much everybody else gets paid. Now, granted, there are some who you should work with. I'm not saying that you should, go in looking for the hugest salary, but I am saying if you work for a nonprofit, whether you lead it or you're getting hired by one, I don't want you to look at it and say, well, I can't work for them because they're not going to pay me right. There are some who are very well able to pay you just like everybody else does, because, again, nonprofits do make profits. Nonprofits do be getting in that money. You know what I'm saying? So they do respect, especially, most of them that are good. They do respect your skill, your education, your background, and what you bring to the table. The only time that it could get a little tricky is if it is a brand new nonprofit, if it is a startup organization, if they haven't been in operation for, some years and they're just getting back up on their feet. But don't let that be something that will hold you back, and don't let it be something that can be held over your head, because since a lot of nonprofit leaders know that that is a big myth, they'll use it to their advantage and say, well, if they're willing to work for a nonprofit, they're willing to work for less. Know your worth, understand where the nonprofit is, but just don't go in feeling like, well, I don't want this because they're not going to pay me as well as, a regular company will. So number 8 myth of nonprofits is donors should dictate how nonprofits spend money. Just because you get donations from people, donations for nonprofits are not like shares in a corporation. If you buy shares, stock, right? If you buy stock in a corporation, I still get every year, like from so many of them, the voting thing on my email where they're like, hey, here's the vote. It's time to vote. Who do you want in? Who you want out and all that stuff? I don't be knowing I be voting for, guys. But it's because there's stock in that company that I had at one point. Now, when it comes to donors, that is totally different. Donors are not stockholders. So don't feel like you have to be dictated by donors what you do with the funds. That's just like saying, now I know y'all gonna keep saying why I keep going back to church. Look, I grew up in the church. I know a lot of nonprofits, but I know people know church, right? People know church talk, church lingo, and all that stuff. That's like saying just because I give $5 in the offering plate, I'm gonna tell you where to put the whole $30 in the offering plate. That's just not how it works. So you want to be transparent with donors. You want to let them know where their funds are going. You want to let them know where their donations are going. But you don't want to feel like you have to be dictated just because somebody is a big giver that they get the right to tell you what to do with the funds. You want to be transparent because that's what gets people to keep giving. That's what brings in donor retention, and that's what makes sure that you are in right standing in the minds of your donors and in the minds of the community. You don't want to be hiding what you're doing with the money, because then somebody might have to put you on blast because they're accusing you of misappropriating funds, which you may be. So you want to be transparent. You just don't want to be dictated by them. Number 9, and we're almost done just that fast. I feel like I've been on here like 2 minutes. Number 9 is nonprofits don't need marketing and branding. So if you've been following me on Twitter, not Twitter, I don't like them, on TikTok, Instagram or Facebook, I've been talking about the difference between branding and marketing this week. I got one more video to put up Friday about marketing, and there is a difference. So branding, of course, is who you are, who you serve, and what makes you different. And marketing is how to reach the people that you want to reach. So in your branding, you have to figure out who do you want to serve, who do you want to reach, who do you want to see what you're doing and be a partaker of it. That's a part of branding. As a nonprofit, you need that just as much as for-profits, because if you have a nonprofit that focuses on the elderly, solely focuses on the elderly veterans, you don't want a child coming up, let's say, who needs lunch money or who can't afford a new pair of shoes, because that's not your focus. They don't fit the brand. You are focused on elderly veterans, not children. So that's a part of your branding. You also want brand recognition. As I said in another video about for-profits, when you think of McDonald's, typically you think of Golden Arches. When you think of Burger King, typically you think of Have It Your Way. When you think of Progressive Insurance, you typically think of Flow. When you think of Geico, you think of the Lizard. So with these things, you still want that to be so with branding your nonprofit organization. How do you want them to feel when they hear the name of your organization? How do you want them to perceive you? How do you want, and who do you want to perceive you? Who do you want to come knocking on your door? Who do you want to serve? That is very important. And because you do need donations, because you do need people to sponsor and to partner with you, you want to make sure you market to the right people. Now, if you are a nonprofit organization who focuses on the youth in the community, you typically don't want to send a letter. This is a part of marketing. You don't want to send a donation letter or a sponsorship or partnership letter to Budweiser. Why? Because why would you want Budweiser to sponsor your youth inspired nonprofit organization? If you are a church, you're not going to want to send a donation letter to a club. Why? Because why do you want the club to give money to the church, and now you got to put the club on a plaque or acknowledge the club in church services? Wouldn't that be a little contradictory, a little odd, a little ungodly? You know what I'm saying? So you want to make sure you market well so you know who and how you want people to reach you, see you, perceive you, things of that nature, because you want something from them, and or you want to give something back to them. That's a part of marketing. So you do need to know about marketing and branding. Now, number 10 is it's difficult to start a nonprofit organization. It's not any more difficult than starting a business. And unfortunately, a lot of people think that starting a business is difficult. Starting a nonprofit organization is easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I just went over it with somebody maybe 2 weeks ago. First of all, she was already ahead of the game. She had the first few steps done, even stuff that I have to pull people's teeth to get done. She came with it done, and it wasn't that difficult for her. Even when we did the IRS filing, it wasn't a difficult thing. The most difficulty we had was IRS.gov was playing in my face because they didn't want me to log into their site. I don't know what beef they had with me. I ain't got no beef with them. I pay my taxes. So it's not hard at all. It's very easy to start a nonprofit organization. Now, if you want to learn how to start a nonprofit organization, I am going to do more videos, whether they are lives or reels. I don't really know how I feel about lives yet. I had fun on my last one. This one, I'm just like, oh, I don't want to be here. But I may do another live, some more lives, I don't know. But I will be putting out more information about starting a nonprofit, running and maintaining a nonprofit, even grants I've had this year, some successes with grants with my nonprofit. I've had just different successes, and I've been helping people with successes in their own nonprofits for years. And so I'm going to be putting out some more details, some more information, but I have helped many of people do events. Now, because I have a nonprofit and I want to help other nonprofits, I'm going to be doing my own event. It's going to be called the Visionary Think Tank, and it's going to be for nonprofit people. So whether you are a current or an aspiring nonprofit leader or volunteer or anything as it pertains to nonprofits, I'm going to do a visionary think tank because I am the visionary brand coach. Doesn't that just make sense? And it's going to be on November the 16th. So what I had to do is I had to sit down and figure out this SWAC football thing that y'all are in love with. I don't know anything about SWAC football. Let's just be honest. I don't know nothing about sports. You know, I don't really know what y'all be talking about when y'all get on here mad about this team lost, this team won. I don't even know what sports season we're in. Is it football? Is it basketball? Is it baseball? Do baseball have a season? Y'all don't be talking about baseball. I don't know, guys. Do people still play kickball? Because I know about that one. I know about kickball. Anyway, I had to pull up like the SWAC football schedule, learn what SWAC was, first of all, and then figure out like which one of these dates these folks won't be busy. And the only thing I could come up with was November the 16th. So November the 16th, I'm going to be at the Pilgrim Rest Multipurpose Building. I'm going to put the link in the comments. Now, I be seeing people put links in comments while they're on live, and I just don't really know how they do it. I guess I'll do that when I get off of here, or I'll figure it out some kind of way. But anyway, I'm going to put the link in the comments, and like I said, I'll be there. You have to register to be there, but it's good for anybody who has a nonprofit, they want to start a nonprofit, they are thinking about anything that pertains to any kind of nonprofit. Now, remember, I said earlier, this does include churches, just committees, groups, associations, things of that nature. If you think that you have a nonprofit, if you think that you need help with yours, let's just be honest. Most people need help with most things. We just don't be wanting to receive or ask for help. My thing for this event is I don't want us to just come and then I just stand over you and talk. We're going to be sitting down around the table. It's going to be kind of like a round table. I want it to be pretty intimate, meaning I don't want a whole lot of people because I want to be able to give everybody something personal. We're going to be going through quite the agenda. If you click on the link that I was able to put in there, you're going to see, if you scroll down on the registration page, I do have an agenda. It is very subject to change. I was looking at it today, and that thing about volunteers, I was like, I don't feel like talking to people about no volunteers. But it just depends on where I am that day, you know, if we're being honest. But most of that, all of it except for volunteers, I'm going to talk about. If somebody asks me about volunteers, I may touch on that. But I don't be knowing how to sell nothing. You know, my thing is just show up. You got a nonprofit, you want a nonprofit, you think about a nonprofit, you want to hear me say something else. You think I'm funny, you just want to come for a good time and hang out, sign up and show up. So go on there. You're going to see the agenda. You're going to see all the topics that we're going to talk about. Again, the link is in the description. It's in the comments. I'm also going to put it in the description. I'm going to keep reminding you about it. It is November the 16th. And beyond just sitting there and teaching you, we're going to have the opportunity, everyone will have the opportunity to speak up, speak out, share your goals, share your vision, share your successes, share your failures, share what you want to do and what you don't know how to do, and collectively, we're all going to give you advice. Now, I thrive when I'm asked questions. Something like this, I don't, because y'all ain't saying that, because most of y'all at work, it's 4 o'clock. So, when I'm asked questions, I can knock it out of the park. That's why I had to start charging people for it, because, I learned, and I think I said this before, people used to invite me out to dinner. And I thought they was just being nice when they invite me out to dinner. And the next thing I know, they're asking me business advice. And I'm telling them business advice, and I'm changing their life, and I'm going on about my business, bopping away, not knowing nothing happened. And then I look around and they'll be doing what I said do, making the money. So I'm just saying that to say, come with your questions, come with your notepads. I'm going to be there. It's going to be first of all, because I didn't know we had a celebrity. You know what I'm saying? It's not often that I get on this Facebook. But when I do, clearly I draw celebrities. Hello, Bridezilla Portia. I don't know if y'all know who Portia is. All you got to do is Google Bridezilla Portia. And that's my girl right there. She's on there. Quite the celebrity. So I must be famous. You know what I'm saying? Had a man. So, join me November the 16th. We're going to have a good time. I don't even know what else to say. I never know how to scream. I never know how to scream because she said scream. I never know how to end stuff. I don't know how to end this. I guess I did pretty good. Hopefully you got something out of those 10 myths. If not, come back whenever I decide to come back and tell y'all something else. I don't know. All right, I'm done. And then I get an attitude when it's time to go because I don't know how to leave. I ain't got no attitude, guys, though. I will see you